Okay, so welcome to this week's call. My name is Jackie Boyle and I live in the beautiful country of Australia, the land down under. And our guest this week, or I should say our host, is none other than Dr. Joseph Ahrens. And as I have often said, I always feel quite privileged because I learn something every week. And I truly do learn something. I write notes each week on what Dr. Ahrens talks about, because it's not what he says, it's what I hear. And it's not what it shows me, it's what I see. And so we can see the same things, we can hear the same things, but somewhere along the line, we just pick up something new all the time. And this is what Dr. Ahrens aims to do with these calls. They're health talks, 365 days of the year. And today's call, Dr. Ahrens, is on supplements and Q&A. So what I'm going to ask of each and every one of you, if you have questions on supplements, on any particular supplement, please put it into the chat because we're going to do an interactive Q&A today. So, but first of all, how are you, Dr. Ahrens?
I'm doing good. You know, you live in a beautiful country down under. I've been there many times and it is absolutely a stunning place. But I would like to point out to where I live, you know, I took this photograph this morning when I was out on my jog. And so, you know, I'm glad not everybody gets to live here because I don't want you guys here. Yeah, I'm doing pretty fine.
So you don't want us to come and visit you in the Bahamas? Is that what you're telling us? It's like a reserve?
Yeah, one at a time and once a year.
Oh, okay. All right then. Selective, hey? Like Aussie land's open to all of you. We open our arms and we welcome you now.
Yeah.
Now that the borders are open. So, Dr. Ahrens, we're going to go through, let's give people a bit of a structure. We've had a bit of a chat. A few people were listening to where we were heading with this, and we're going to talk about not specifically supplements that we have underneath the menu of products that we have, but supplements in general and defining what supplements are, why take supplements, what are the top 5 in Dr. Ahrens' opinion, personal opinion, and then to ask you to put in questions about any specific. Please choose one. Don't choose like 20. Try and share it around if you've got a question about something so that we can then answer it. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Dr. Ahrens, and start off on, you know, defining what supplements actually are, please.
Well, you know, I hope that everyone sees this place as a health news channel, and we're not particularly talking about Valentis products, so what we have or don't have. I'm just going to talk in general about supplements. And let us start out by defining what are supplements. Supplements, well, they are actually something legally defined that you take supplemental to your normal diet. Anything you take supplemental to your normal diet. So if it wasn't to add to your diet, it wouldn't be a supplement. So a drug would not be a supplement, as an example. A drug might be great for you, but it's not a supplement. Additional protein might be great for you. That's not a supplement. So you have these 3 components of your diet. You know, we talked about this, the major components, which are proteins and fats and carbohydrates. And then you have all those micronutrients. And that's where supplements fall into the micronutrients. So if you add more protein to your diet, it's actually not considered a supplement. Even if you take a protein powder, that's not considered a supplement because it's just adding more protein. Or if you add in fat, because, you know, there's actually like some coffees that actually have added fat, and that's not a supplement. The supplements come under the micronutrients. So these are vitamins, minerals, and other natural molecules that you may or may not think that you're getting enough of. So that's what supplements. Do you think that's clear? You understand that?
I most certainly do. Yes, it's very clear.
So I, you know, sometimes I think people get it and they don't, but it's supplement, adding to your diet, but it's not the protein, the fat, and the carbohydrates. It's always the other side, the minerals.
So Dr. Ahrens, when you define supplements like that, it makes it very clear that we are looking at something that we're adding into our diets as such. So it's something like micronutrients. So it's very clear. But then we step into, why do we need to take supplements? Why should we consider taking supplements into our daily regime?
Well, we need to take supplements because we actually don't get enough in our diets. Now, if you had a perfect diet, and I'm sure Dr. Ron would agree with this, if you had a perfect diet, you wouldn't need any supplements. You would not need them. But unfortunately, throughout the world, even in the most developed countries to the ones that are struggling, you do not get a good diet. Rarely that you find a good diet that's perfect in all ways. So you need to supplement your diet. Now, why don't you get that? Okay, number one reason is you just don't eat right. Let's not talk about whether the modern fruits and vegetables have enough vitamins and minerals in there. People don't eat correctly. I mean, that's really the number one thing that I look at when I start talking to clients and people that come to me with issues. Let's look at your diet to begin with. And they're eating too much of the wrong things or not enough of the good things. And you actually, if you ate enough fruits and vegetables, which that's where most of the micronutrients come from, the non-starchy micronutrients, you know, dark green colors, dark green oranges, the colors really are a hint to you that they have the vitamins and minerals in them. What you talk about, any vitamin, okay, man, vitamin A, dark stuff, spinach, it doesn't have to be specific things like carrots. Well, carrots, we talk about carrots and vitamin A because they're a dark color. Well, spinach has just as much, or orange juice, vitamin C. It's colorful. And actually, it's true, the things that are more clear have the least amount of vitamins and minerals. The more plain, clear things like apple juice or white grape juice, that has the least amount of vitamins and minerals. So if you did have these things, you probably wouldn't even need many supplements. You still probably would. But that's the first point. We just don't include enough of these in our diet. And people always say, oh, I hate salads, I hate broccoli, I hate asparagus. Well, you're going to need some supplements because you were made to eat that stuff. I don't know why you don't like it. You were trained as a child to not like it. I don't know. My children actually love salads. They love all that stuff. They love broccoli. And I let them, when they were growing up, I said, okay, look, you got to try at least something one time and I won't force you to eat it. And so when they got that there wasn't this adversarial relationship, they went ahead and enjoyed the stuff. And they eat it to this day. Number two, we over process our foods. We cook. You know, when I was a child growing up, my grandmother, she cooked things to death. She made sure that it was completely well done. And then she went further. And then when she was sure it was dead, then she cooked it another 5 hours. And just green beans ended up being like green bean soup. It was, I don't know what was going on with that generation, but it killed all of the vitamins in it, not the minerals. They still were there, but all the vitamins, it oxidized them, and it was not nutritious. So minimally processed foods, please, people, if you can, and that, it does not mean eat everything raw. There is a point where you should have some things cooked because it opens up the cells, it makes them available to us, and scientists have proved that the human development actually happened at the same time we learned how to control fire. Once that happened, that's why our brains got bigger, because it opened up the nutrients. So just saying a raw diet, I'm going to disagree with people that say, oh, eat everything raw. No, don't do that. Some things absolutely raw. Lettuce and greens, I eat those raw all the time. But things like a carrot, you need to cook it a little bit to break down the cells and let the nutrition out of it. So minimally processed, not cooked to death, and don't avoid that stuff. But what do? You don't, most people just don't eat a lot of salads. fresh, green, alive, unprocessed products.
So,
And, oh, I don't like salads.
Dr. Ahrens, I want to back up a little bit because I want to put something in here because I think it's really important because it does come off of last week's call. Like the importance of considering having, doing a blood test, like a full blood count to get a baseline on where we're at and to see what's happening within the body. And we ran out of time last week, my parents. And so the interesting thing with them, mum's 81 tomorrow, my dad's 85. They both collectively had full blood counts done recently and they went to the doctor. And the interesting thing was they came from that generation that you're talking about and mum's cooked all her food. They haven't bought processed food, fast foods, anything like that. But what came back through their blood test was that they needed to eat more of the dark coloured foods. And dad likes his whiskey. He likes mum likes a wine, but the suggestion was have red wine because we're looking at flavonoids. So it's quite intriguing when we start looking as we age that our body does change and it does need things as well, even as we age. But this came up in their blood test that this is what they were needing. So I find this all really intriguing as you go forward. And then we step into, why we need to take supplements because we're clearly not getting what we need from our food. So is there anything you wanted to add on to that before we head into the top 5? Because we have got quite a few questions in here about vitamins too and supplements.
Yeah, that's really the point. We do not eat properly. So some of us eat over processed foods, and it doesn't just mean, the luncheon meats and all this stuff that has these weird chemicals in it. It also means just boiling it to death. So there's a point where a balance, cook it a little bit and not a lot. And so many people don't do that. You say, oh, I'm eating these green beans, 20 times a week. And then you find out they're boiling it to death and there's no vitamins in there at all. They're all dead and oxidized. So yes, that's very important. And so you remind me about your father, he at least liked to take a little shot. So there was a science experiment in class and they took a Coca-Cola. Everybody knows Coca-Cola. And they put a live worm in the Coca-Cola and looked at it and it started fizzing and bubbling and floated to the top. And the teacher said, what does that tell you about Coca-Cola? And little Johnny in the back says, well, if you drink Coca-Cola, you will never have worms. So you have to also interpret your data correctly. Just because you're eating a bunch of vegetables, it doesn't mean you're getting enough. Take a blood test. I told that last week. I myself live here in the Bahamas. I'm outside all the time. And I have a vitamin D deficiency naturally. And so I can't give any of you recommendations because I would say normally if you live outside and you spend a lot of time outside, especially down in the tropics, you will not have a vitamin D trouble. I do. So I have to supplement myself with vitamin D. And the only way I know that is I take a blood test. I visit in my case, I visit twice a year and I am in the good level of vitamin D because I take enough every day. So you need to do that too. I encourage you. I don't know, in the US, it's like $120 for a full blood panel and you'll see B, C, D, everything, and also your blood sugar, etc. So, okay, we've covered that. What are supplements and why you should take them? And because nobody has a good diet. Even I know a lot about diet. I even don't have a good diet. I have to supplement it myself. So do you have anything to say before I get into what are the top supplements on the planet right now?
No, besides that, I need you to sit back so that you're not so excitable and straight up in my face.
I get carried away. This is a favorite topic. So there you go.
I know. This is the Aussie humor. Sorry, guys. Not sorry. So what are your top 5, Dr. Ahrens? I think you've covered everything all the way through, so we can get through this and then we can answer some of these questions, please.
Well, I don't memorize this list every single year, but it is most every year it's the same. But I told you I'm in our conversation that the top supplements usually follow what's ever in the popular press, really when the chatter starts in a certain supplement, then everybody starts buying it because, oh, I must need it too. And that is good, because I applaud people for trying to take care of their health. That is great. But let's go into the list, the top 10 or let's just do the top 5 because we're going to run out of time. So the number 1 happens to be vitamin D. And, vitamin D is a nice supplement because it's really interesting. I mean, your body makes vitamin D from sunshine. There's several indirect processes, but yes, that's what happens. The vitamin D from the sun, the UV light shines on you. You have cells in your body that convert it into vitamin D, and then vitamin D does all its stuff in your body. Now, vitamins are the switches in your body. So you got the protein, the building blocks, and you got carbohydrate for energy and fats for sustained energy and for structure. Vitamins and minerals are the switches that control all that. And vitamin D is, yes, an important, I can't say essential, because since your own body makes it, it's not classified as an essential ingredient. We're supposed to theoretically make it, but vitamin D comes from sunshine. And let me tell you a couple of things, and I'll just tell you just a list I've put together from scientific literature. What does vitamin D do? And it helps regulate type 1 diabetes and metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure. It's shown to reduce tuberculosis and breast cancer and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And it just shows you that it's a regulatory function. It's supporting your body, and your body is what controls all these other diseases and processes. So vitamin D is number 1. We move on to vitamin number 2, magnesium. Who would have thought magnesium was the number 2 supplement this year? It's because, actually, in my opinion, it appeared in the popular press several times over this last year, and people say, oh, magnesium is important. And you know what? You get to looking what magnesium does. It does the same thing that vitamin D does. All of these things, it eventually just mean supports your body's health. And magnesium, I actually do take magnesium supplement because I have found out that it reduces muscle cramps. And sometimes, well, why do muscle cramps occur? And you can say, okay, because it's not good blood circulation and you need oxygen into your muscles. And you know what? Magnesium actually opens up those oxygen channels through other scientists are going to fuss at me about that, but through indirect methods, it allows more oxygen into your muscles and you have less cramping. They get into a tug of war within themselves. Magnesium. I think magnesium is one of those that is popular just because of the popular press. Number 3, fish oil, which we could also say omega-3 fatty acids. That's when people say fish oil, that's actually what they mean, omega-3 fatty acids. Now, there are 2 main types of fatty acids, and a fatty acid, don't worry what that is. It is a type of fat, and there are 2 particular ones that we want, and they are omega-3 and omega-6. And what is important is the ratio of 3 and 6. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's not just, I don't have enough omega-3s or have too much omega-6. It's actually the ratio. And some fatty products have too much 6 and not enough 3, and you end up not having enough 3 to 6 ratio. So you want a lot of, it's a lot like cholesterol. You want a lot of the 3s and a little bit of the 6, but you need 6s as much as you do 3s. And fish oil has a lot of 3 in it, but you can also get it from flaxseed, by the way. You don't have to have a fish oil. There are other products besides fish oil that have omega-3s, but that's actually what we're after, omega-3s. Okay, that gets back. This is one of the best ones on this list because that gets back to having a good diet. And good diets throughout the world have shown that if you eat fish, you are more healthy. Why? Because of these omega-3s. That's really what's going on. So if you add a lot of fish in your diet, you probably don't even need any omega-3s to supplement you. But you know what? Very few people, and I will say the Western world, do not eat enough fish, as opposed to the Asian and Mediterranean countries who eat a whole lot more fish than we do. So yes, you probably should supplement yourself with omega-3 fatty acids, which means in common words, fish oil. But if you don't like that, you can use something like flaxseed. That's also just as good. The next on the list is CoQ10. That's coenzyme Q10. Now, coenzyme Q10 was determined a couple of decades ago to take food and help it turn into energy. That's why people take this product. They do feel more energized. And CoQ10 is also a natural food product. And it's also available in the dark leafy vegetables, but we just don't get enough of it. And you take that and you'll feel more energized because it takes those parts of food like carbohydrates and it helps turn it into pure energy. And actually, the last number 5 for last year was just a multivitamin. Most people, after taking those specific things I just mentioned, those 4, they also take a multivitamin. So I will just pass over that and go to number 6, and that will be my last one on the list, probiotics. And I do believe probiotics are taken because they're in the popular press. Who knew about probiotics except you learned about it through the news and the popular press? But absolutely, I will put my stamp of approval on this because the world we live in, we are constantly killing the good gut bacteria in our bodies. We're killing it by this junk we do eat. And then we take all these antibiotics. You know, you go to the doctor or even you yourself and you get a cold or whatever, and you start taking all these antibiotics. They will not have anything to do with a virus. And, you know, we're living in a virus influenced world right now. A bacterial infection, or they think you're under a cold or influenza, your body gets weakened, so they give you a antibiotic on top just in case, you know, that you're weak and they don't want you to get something else like pneumonia. Pneumonia is a bacterial disease, so they give you antibiotics. Every time you take an antibiotic, it kills your gut bacteria because they're also bacteria. So, man, I really say in this day and age, you need to take probiotics and keep the healthy gut bacteria inside you. And I want to ask these people, whenever they take these antibiotics, especially they call these Z packs, I think that's available around the world. You take, you know, 1 this day and 2 that day. And when they follow that up, do they ever then get on probiotics? Because you've killed all your gut bacteria. It's just like a nuclear bomb going off in your body. You kill everything. Do you then follow it with a probiotic? No, you don't. So take it. It's healthy. That's the top 5 or maybe 6. And let's talk.
Dr. Ahrens, is really interesting, like naming those top 6. And it's interesting with the antibiotics as just for information. I've taken antibiotics all of my life. And no medical claims here at all. But I'd got to a stage where I had 1 antibiotic that was intravenous, that was what my body was responsive to, because all oral antibiotics were non-responsive until I decided to take Emulin to support and assist my body. I no longer have to take antibiotics every day of my life. So it's been interesting that food choices, and again, there's no claims to heal, cure, and or fix anything here, just information. That it's interesting with vitamin D, fish oil, they're all things that some of us take anyway. So it's great to hear this, and probiotics, especially for gut health and multivitamins. But I've got a couple of questions here, and a few anyway. So when we are talking about Emulin, so Jim is just asking that when taking Emulin, And we're looking at an array of vitamins from vitamin A, C, D, E, K12, potassium, magnesium. When we add emulin into it, does it assist with these, by adding these extra vitamins to emulin, does it support that? Like, what are the benefits of adding these extra vitamins in with emulin, in your opinion?
Well, emulin is, people that maybe followed me for a while, it should have been declared a vitamin a long time ago, and its function is to support your immune system, number one. Secondarily, it really does help with carbohydrate metabolism. And as all of these ones I've just listed, and any more you could say, including the A, D, E, K, the fat soluble vitamins, all of them, they have more than one function. They don't just, vitamin C doesn't just help with, and vitamin, particularly D and C, don't just help with bone chemistry. They have lots of other functions in your body, and emulin has more than one function. It's a flavonoid. I think people should take more flavonoids. I believe I have developed the best combination of flavonoids for your body. I've done the work, and you should take that. Everyone needs a flavonoid because that supports your immune system and your carbohydrate metabolism. It is kind of separate from these other vitamins. So I'm saying that, yes, absolutely take those, and it won't kind of boost those up, except it's doing something different. It's actually basically supporting your immune system. Now, vitamin C supports your immune system, but your immune system is extremely complex. You remember months ago, we went over that, and it was so many different cells, and each one of them had different functions. Well, vitamin C fits in here, emulin fits in here. It all is part of it, but no, they don't have an overlap. I'm saying absolutely, you take those vitamins. I applaud you. Everybody, though, needs emulin.
Okay, so leading into, there's another question here that Linda's asked. So if Linda specifically asked about the more detox and shield with Valentis and how that combination. So I guess really, Linda, to do this overview for everyone, Dr. Ahrens, that when we look at emulin and we incorporate emulin with any of the menu of products of Valentis, is there any contraindications? And I guess this is going to clear it up for everybody, because there's questions come in like this on a regular basis. So when we're looking at emulin, we're looking at the menu of products that we have with the Valentis products that we have. Is emulin able to blend in with any of those selections? Should there be any concerns with contraindication?
Well, you know what? I just can't get away from these emulin questions. I'd like to be a general health resource, but nevertheless, I can tell you, no, there's no contraindication whatsoever. There is no conflict, and there's actually no parallel, like you're taking this, so you don't need to take that. No, emulin, even in the products that are in Valentis to support your immune system, they do that. But emulin is really the most foundation of supporting your immune system that everybody needs. And I will say again, if you had a good diet, you would not need emulin. But boy, you'd have to go back 200 and 500 years ago to get the proper grapes and fruits and vegetables that had enough of these emulin components in there. And we just don't get them today. They are gone. Forget it. They're not there anymore. The highest level of emulin is in muscadine grapes. So you could get about 1/10 of what you need. And who eats muscadine grapes? And then you'd have to eat like 10 kilograms of them a day. Well, 500 years ago, that was not the case. Any wild fruit and vegetable that you got had emulin in it. Now we don't use those anymore. So you need to supplement. It's a true supplement. But yes, there is no contraindication. There are only a couple of health indications that if I was going to have surgery personally, I would stop emulin a couple of days before surgery and then start it immediately again, because it contains quercetin, which is known to lower your blood pressure a little bit. You know what? If you're on emulin to begin with, you probably would not have needed the surgery.
Okay. Thank you for that. Also, another question from Ruthie is that what are your thoughts about sucralose?
About what?
I think it's sucralose. Sucralose.
Sucralose. Okay, well, that sucralose. Okay, that's not a supplement, but I have no issues whatsoever with sucralose. Sucralose is a reverse sugar. So we have like a glucose, which is a 6-carbon chain, and it you have to draw it out on paper to see how it looks. But then sucralose is the same one. It's the mirror image of that molecule, and it tastes just as sweet to you. So your body, it's not like it's going to cause cancer or nothing. It looks like a sugar. The problem for our body is that we cannot absorb it. It has to be the other side to be absorbed easily. So I feel there's no issue if you want to use sucralose. Now, the problem with sucralose is you can absorb it, but your gut bacteria can. And people that take sucralose also find themselves having explosive diarrhea because those probiotic things we talked about, they love it and they go ahead and process it. You end up with a lot of gas. But no, it is sugar. It is sugar. It's just a mirror image of sugar, and we cannot absorb it. So it tastes sweet on our tongue, and then, but we don't absorb it. Now, unfortunately, that's not how simple the body works. If you start tasting something sweet, even though it's 0 calorie, your body already starts thinking, wow, we got sugars. So it sends out a lot of insulin, and then you go into insulin responses just as if you had actually eaten regular sugar. So you can't just go by these dietary products that are low calorie, aspartame, even if they're synthetic. Your body still says, oh, your tongue is sweet. Let's send out a bunch of insulin. Then you get other issues.
Okay, thank you. Linda has actually asked, she's got a client or a new customer. She started on some products, but she's just wanting to know, they're a type 1 diabetic, and other than general flavonoid benefits with Emulin, what would be the other benefits of taking Emulin being a type 1 diabetic, and what would those be?
Well, there are some really good things with Emulin and type 1 diabetics, but I cannot talk about it on this public forum. I'll just say that type 1 diabetics should take Emulin.
And they could go to your website, Dr. Ahrens, because that would give them a bit more information as well. Would that be right?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
But
and they can make their own informed decision. Linda also asks, when we're talking about vegetables and boiling them, what vegetables would benefit, just a few of them, I guess, really from boiling as opposed to raw vegetables?
Well, the ones that have a lot of tough fiber, a good example is carrot. Raw carrots are great, but to get the best, you need to boil them a little bit. And I boil them right before they break down, never to mush. That's way too far. But so let's look at really asparagus. My parents never steamed asparagus. They never even saw a steamer. So I take any vegetable and steam it, much better than boiling, because boiling leaches out the vitamins and minerals. Steam things, even microwave. I'm telling you, microwave is kind of weird, but nevertheless, it does not leach anything out. Or these air fryers or whatever, they just heat, or bake them in the oven. What you want to do is move that vegetable from hard crunchy to a little crunch. That is perfection in any of these vegetables.
And I will say,
beets?
Sorry?
How about beets?
Beets?
Yes.
Yeah, the same way. I tried it when I do actually use beets. I often will put them in a dish where I'm baking them. One of my favorite dishes with beets has apples, red cabbage sauerkraut, and beets and pork, and it's baked until the beets are tender. But you know what? You take a beet and you put it in water, and then all that water is pink or red. That's where the good stuff is. Yeah. So try not to do it. I mean, steam or lightly boil, or at least have a minimum amount of water in there so it doesn't get out there. But actually, that's how I do beets more than anything. I love beets. You It looks like you're a beet guy. What about these golden beets, man? They are just fantastic. I usually do those in an oven or a broiler. Yeah, they're good.
Okay, so Dr. Ahrens, Mike has asked that if a physician recommends a supplement with a certain function, how would a plant-based versus an animal source supplement compare to each other? And in your opinion, which is better?
I will not say which is better because you know, I have any problem at all with people being vegans, but I'm just a molecule guy. I'm a molecule guy, and I don't care where that molecule came from, like vitamin C. I don't care if it came out of an orange or it came out of a rose hip. Obviously, there are some instances where we do not know what the subunits are. If you do some natural extraction, there might be some things in that solution that we have not yet identified scientifically that help the process of that vitamin. As opposed to just synthetically manufacturing a vitamin. But I'm telling you, people, you don't need to go that far. If you are looking at a vitamin that is animal versus plant versus natural product versus synthetic, you're talking about differences between 90, 95, and 97% efficiency. It doesn't matter in that instance. I've never seen any data. I have seen data that says that naturally produced vitamins outperform synthetic vitamins, but it's like 95 versus 97%. Just take the damn vitamin and be healthy. So whether it is an animal-based supplement or a plant-based supplement, just choose it depending on your philosophy.
So following up from last week's call, Dr. Ahrens, do your homework and work out what sort of works best for you. Really, it's personal choice. So there's another question here as well. I've got one more and then an overview. So when we're looking at doses of supplements, how do we know what is recommended? Like, what would your answer be for, because we've got a broad spectrum of ages here, male, female, different health conditions, you know, things going on with people's bodies. How do they know what is the right recommendation in regards to what dose they should take?
Okay, so, you know, we have in every country these RDUs, which means the recommended daily units, and vitamins and minerals come through micrograms to all types of things that it's hard to remember what the measurement is, but that is the absolute minimum for you to live and not notice any health issue. So first of all, double, triple, or 5 times that if you really want to improve your health. So all those recommended levels, they either come recommended daily allowances or recommended daily units, depending on the country you're in. Those are the levels that we feel as a scientific community, you won't show up any disease, like you won't get scurvy. So get way away from those, double or triple. And, you know, there's a couple of things. First of all, almost none of these will hurt you. If you go 10 or 100, 1,000 times that amount, it will not harm you. The recommended doses for vitamin C, you have to do like 1,000 times greater than the recommended dosage for it to be any toxicity. So I would not be afraid you don't overdose, because our body is great. It just eliminates it either through the urine or through your skin. It's extremely rare to find an overdose of any vitamin. So how do you know how much to take? I would always take at least 4 times the RDU of any particular vitamin to even notice an effect. Secondarily, all this scientific information, which is good going into these RDAs, is they're very, very cautious. You know, they don't want to, okay, here's the minimum and you're going to be fine. They don't want to make any claims, you know, oh, this will cure this and that. You know, the guy who was a vitamin C guy, who won the Nobel Prize twice, he thought vitamin C was a cure-all, end-all, and he took massive amounts. I don't know, at 20,000 units a day. He was in excellent health, but everybody, all the other MDs thought he was an idiot. Well, they didn't get the Nobel Prize, did they? So anyway, don't be afraid of this. It would be extremely difficult to overdose on any vitamin. And if you can easily take 4 to 10 to 20 times any RDA and not have any issues whatsoever.
And Dr. Ahrens, that would include vitamin K as well. So it's across the board, any vitamin that you're talking about? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
A, D, E, K, those are the fat soluble vitamins. Yeah, there's no problem there.
So one last question, and it is back to amulin. When we start looking at amulin and taking that with any products, so the question being is, does it need to be taken at a different time, or can it be taken in conjunction with whatever we decide to take, whether that be Valentis products, whether it be other supplements? Like, is there any time frame? Should it be taken separately, or can we include it in other supplements that we take?
Well, the only reason I tell people to take it with a meal is just to give them a recommendation, because people want a recommendation. So I say, okay, take it with your meal. It doesn't really matter. Once you take it for a couple of days, your blood level will be saturated, and it's got a 4-day half-life. That means whatever you have in your blood, if you don't take it anymore, 4 days later, it'll be half that amount. 4 days later, it'll be half that amount. So it does not matter when you take it. I recommend take it, saturate your body, and it doesn't matter then when you're taking it after that, because you're always going to have a certain amount. The only time that would ever be different is when the first time you took amulin. I would say take it before you eat, because it will help with that initial sugar starch load. But after you have taken it for a day or two, it has a level, will not matter at all when you do take it.
Okay, Dr. Ahrens, that's the tail end of our questions. So again, I just want to make sure that everybody is very aware that we are not, it's Dr. Ahrens' personal opinion that he's provided to you. So any information that he has given you is not aimed, again, to heal, cure, or fix anything that you are dealing with. Or if you refer this on to somebody, it is your personal choice to do your homework and then work it out as to what fits. Eating a healthy diet, including a good exercise program for whatever that may be. It could be a 15-minute walk for you. That is still exercise. It's mobility. It's getting moving. It helps the mind, body, and soul, keeps you on a positive plateau. Anything that you can do to include in your daily lifestyle choices that are going to benefit you. Personally, I will say I can nearly guarantee you that it's going to help you in some way. What would that look like? I do not know. But I know for certain that as we go through life, our health choices do matter. So the information you've given to us today, Dr. Ahrens, again, I really thank you. Having top 6, supplements that we can go by, and we can go away and do your own research, everybody. Have a look for yourself. But you've certainly provided us with a lot of food for thought, so to speak. And I look forward to what we have coming next week. And again, I thank you so much. And thank you, each and every one of you, for joining the call today. And we look forward to seeing you next week. So bye for now.
Bye-bye.